Hi, I'm Newbie again. Recently, I watched a live stream featuring Erik Burnham, author of many Ghostbusters comics previously published by IDW.
Hey everybody!
Woo!
Can I be more awkward right now, or should I wait till later? I'm not sure.
Whether it was mere chance or luck, I ended up being the only person in the chat who asked Erik questions about Ghostbusters. I give you now these questions, my thoughts behind Erik's answers, as well as some other interesting tidbits from this interview. It was basically an interview, right?
As long as y'all can still interview and say sentences, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1. Saturday Morning Adventures, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I really love the opportunity. I love being able to jump into a long run on a book, and I love the Turtle Sandbox. So, issue 20 is coming out tomorrow, and I just turned in the script for issue 30.
To be honest, I don't know much about TMNT, and yet I am planning a future video around them. I'm a newbie again after all. It turns out that the Saturday Morning Adventures comics are based off of the 1987 TV series, simply titled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The issue 20 that he spoke of, which should be released by now, is entitled Genie in a Bauble Baby. What might be more interesting is the mention of an issue 30, as this seemingly confirms that the series will continue for at least another 10 issues, a fact I cannot find elsewhere on the internet. Additionally, when Erik wrote last year's TMNT crossover with the rabbit, Usagi Yojimbo, he discovered something about his own crossover after he wrote it.
It's one of the few times that the character isn't being written by Stan Sakai.
It's the first Turtles crossover that he didn't write. Yeah, I found that out after I turned it in.
Stan Sakai is the creator of Usagi. He has previously crossed over with the Turtles via several TV episodes, comics, video games, and action figures.
Usagi was the first Turtles figures that I owned back when the toys were coming out in the 80s.
Erik communicated with Stan Sakai to make sure everything was good with the comic. Sakai did require one thing of the villain.
The villain that we had in this wasn't too much like his Bat Ninjas.
Despite working together, Erik didn't meet Stan until last year's Comic-Con.
I just grabbed a copy of the crossover to have him sign, and I told him I wrote it, and he goes, "What?"
Number 2, character histories.
So how do you keep track of all of these characters' histories?
10 minutes in and no questions from the chat. So I decided to be brave, but I didn't want to go full geek, but I also wanted to be original. I thought to myself, when does anyone ask how well an author remembers their characters? Why, that might even help me with future content creation.
Jeff, our Nickelodeon guy, is a font of information.
Probably too many Jeffs at Nickelodeon for me to Google.
Watch the show, read the wiki, talk to folks who are more expert than you are, and you're off to the races. I wish the answer was more complicated, but it really isn't.
I want to say that I expected that, but I didn't. Number 3, The Simpsons.
Through a Mug Darkly, yeah.
That was the single story for The Simpsons that Erik ever wrote, along with Chuck Dixon, who wrote for The Simpsons comics for over a decade.
Chuck and I talked to The Simpsons, and I said I had an idea. He goes, "Well, I'll turn it into Bongo."
It seems all of Bongo comics were either Simpsons, SpongeBob, or Futurama. They'd shut down in 2018.
Bongo was hard to get into because they paid really well.
Erik would mention that a scene was cut out involving Disco Stew.
This is like a page and a half worth of background stuff. We don't need this. It's just, it's going away.
Number 4, Turtles. Again.
When you script the breaking the fourth wall, every once in a while it'll happen, and I'm like, wait a second.
Honestly, I haven't seen the show the comic is based on, so I can't comment on it. I'll love to read your thoughts below.
How do you weave all of that in, but still keeping within the spirit of the Saturday morning cartoon?
It was something that was a part of the fabric of the show. So, I mean, it's easy to keep in the comic because it was always there.
Number 5, Ghostbusters Year 1.
Was it established in that book, or was it established before that Winston was a Marine?
I know where this is going. It was in the novelization.
They were going to have him in the Air Force. As part of like extended character stuff that comes out after the movie.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'll double check later.
Tom Waltz, our editor, is a Marine.
How is that relevant?
So we're just going to make him a Marine to give a nod to Tom.
I retract my comment.
We have, how did you approach Winston with regards to him being a late Ghostbusters member?
Yeah, Peter Ray and Egon all had an established history together, and we don't see much of their relationship with Winston in the film.
And just show a little bit of, here's how the equipment works, practice with a little bit.
I now wish I phrased that differently.
Showing him getting his feet wet. That was the kind of the obvious thing for year one.
Erik would talk about Winston's early ghost-busting job experience as depicted in year one. However, I should note that the one-shot comic The Zetamore Factor depicts a different version of Winston's first paranormal case. Number 6, moral of the story. I tell you, my question was on the screen so long that I was worried that Erik was avoiding it. And they were talking about Scarlet Spider and other frustratingly interesting things that I couldn't blame them if they were ignoring me. Although I was worried it was going to come off the wrong way, I feel that should stories have morals is a legitimate question. I'll be lying if I said the question is not a reflection of my personal beliefs, but it's probably not in the way you think. There is a good reason that most stories are not purely sensationalist pieces of media. You don't watch Darth Vader killing people because it's justifiable and pure joy. You watch it because it helps you connect to the characters.
Some of them have a moral, some of them have a theme, some of them have, something that evolves naturally out of the telling, and that I want to get across.
Erik would simultaneously cite and promote the aforementioned genie in a Bauble baby issue.
It's a Wonderful Lifestyle. The world would not be the same without you in it, kind of a message.
Shameless self-promotion? No judgment. I even dig it.
Other stuff is absolutely just for entertainment, and some are both. I don't feel bad writing something that just gives people a chuckle or a bit of diversion for 20 minutes. I don't feel bad writing something that has a message.
And I don't feel bad clapping. Number 7, writing Ghostbusters World.
I heard you wrote for the Ghostbusters video game. How was that different?
Not what I typed verbatim, but please continue.
Yeah, it was just a mobile game. So the before the battle, the characters say something. I just went through, and they had the Korean developers had put into temp dialogue, and I just went and I changed it and added some things to make it sound a little bit more brand specific.
The game he is referring to is the now defunct Ghostbusters World.
Video game scripts were written in Excel, which really threw me for a loop.
Don't you wish these scripts were widely available? It would help my content creation so much.
I was not working on anything nearly as complicated as some of the AAA games are, so I am not saying that I did, that you had the full experience of game writing.
Comment below if you would like me to make a video on game writing.
I got to write up little bits on all the ghosts, and I got to invent some ghosts for them, and and the dialogue for the Ghostbusters and the characters that went through, and they used just about everybody's.
Number 7, Ghostbusters Versailles.
Did you ever reuse Ghostbusters Versailles?
I don't think so.
Okay, technically speaking, Erik never wrote about Ghostbusters Versailles, and I hastily assumed he did.
In Ghostbusters International, when they popped over to Paris, I don't think I used anything there. So yeah, no.
Number 8, Marvel Comics and Ghostbusters. In my opinion, this is the big highlight of the interview, and it's more interesting than I could have possibly expected.
Four Marvel characters that you get to pick to be Ghostbusters. Who are you picking?
I'll totally make another video to cover this in more depth.
Damon Hellstrom, Nightcrawler, Dr. Doom, Moon Knight.
Here is where things get interesting.
Years ago, Tom and I were talking, and we really tried to get going a Ghostbusters Fantastic Four crossover.
While you are amazed, I would like to point out that would not have been their first crossover. Issue 48 of Marvel UK's The Real Ghostbusters had a cover that parodied the Fantastic Four. But let's hear Erik's pitch.
Here's where that comes from. So the borders of Moldavia and Latveria come real close, so we were going to have Vigo and Doom be the villains.
I have so many questions. You literally just mentioned Doom as a possible Ghostbuster, but he is also the villain? Also, why the fictional Ghostbusters country of Moldavia instead of Carpathia or Moldavia, of which Vigo has been established to have history with?
We couldn't get Marvel to say yes. But
before Erik revealed this, I had a question about the 4 Marvel Ghostbusters characters that he'd choose. However, it came a little too late.
And who would they battle? I guess they would battle Vigo and Dr. Doom.
While I can't get the interview's dialogue better than that, Erik revealed a little on the characters' dialogue.
Hearing Reed Richards tell Egon what he's doing wrong.
Oh, they would be
man.
so much fun to argue. It's absolutely would be great. And I just Ray and Sue, Winston and Ben. It's just they kind of
Peter's
pair up naturally.
constantly
Johnny and Peter out on the town.
I'm just so surprised by how much Marvel we are getting here.
Just totally curious about how mood slime would work inside of Doctor Doom's armor.
If I'm treating Doom like Marvel treats Doom, and I'm playing fair, he would just magic it off.
That's all that would happen?
And he goes, I'm not sanctioning this nonsense, and it's not going to affect his personality because he's got his iron will.
Okay. Number 9, DC Comics and Ghostbusters.
We'll save that for next time.
We gotta leave a little bit more in the tank.
My dreams are crushed.
I will give him one.
Prepared.
Ted Cord.
Who?
Ted Cord.
Number 10, Delaware.
Do some signings, just kind of sneak out. I talked about doing one in Delaware.
Thanks for watching and putting up with my terrible commentary. Hope you enjoyed it. Comment below if you would like me to release a more polished version of this video.